Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Inspiration Education episode, I have no idea.
Episode, I have no idea.
It's the first week of school and you're feeling...
I'm feeling slightly overwhelmed, but getting settled. How about you?
I'm feeling, whoa.
Teach your kids to love to learn, and they will learn to love to live in a world where there's so much to learn through inspiration education.
This episode, we'd like to talk about what it's like to be a teacher. Yeah.
Yes, what is it like in the first week back of school? Like, what are we teachers going through?
Mm-hmm. And what are we going through right now? And just invite you into that conversation.
Yes. So, where do you want to start?
Where would you like to start? Let's be real. How about this? I have been taking a deep dive into teacher flourishing. The last couple of years. That's something that's become really important to me. I've had kind of this burning question at the same school: why do some teachers flourish while others burn out? And I've observed this in multiple schools, not just our school. Talked to other teachers in other schools, and this has been kind of a burning question. So I've been taking a deep dive into that. So I have been really mindful of being self-aware of how am I right now, and then that has also caused me to think about how are you right now, where are you at, and to encourage teachers to be mindful of, gosh, taking care of themselves.
Yeah, because remember, she's also administration at our school, besides also being our advanced bio teacher.
Yep.
And part of this is in your doctoral program, yeah?
Sick and Bears. Yep, happen to be wearing it today.
Brother, such a plug.
Yeah, learning and organizational change, and we've been invited to come up with a problem of practice. And so, as I'm only 2 semesters, just finished my second semester, so it's still developing. But as I keep talking and researching and reading, just really understanding the role that teacher leaders play, like yourself, the role that administrators play, and the role that we, of course, as individual teachers play, and how there's a synergy in that. But it really starts with acknowledging that we're all human beings.
And we do burn out.
And we do burn out. And we need to take care of ourselves.
And we're on day 3. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, what's part of your whoa?
Yeah, so the reason for that
a little bit
is that so one of the reasons why we haven't done a lot of recordings lately is because one episode in the past we mentioned to you that I was supposed to be leaving this school and I was supposed to be moving to the Middle East. And hopefully teaching over there. Well, #COVID, that did not happen. Everything fell through. So I spent a year off, if you will, walking
really
with
off.
my kids.
We're never off, but
in online schooling.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, desperately missing being a teacher of other students in person. And so for me, in sort of a way, I've had a whole year off not teaching. And
how was that for you?
Yeah, it was lonely.
Wow, right?
It was lonely, and I felt like I wasn't fulfilling the calling that I have in my life. And so as much as I think us teachers desperately need time off, that was too much, just like I think anybody could probably say.
Go back to the word calling. Lately at our school, our headmaster phrased it this way, that we have a irrevocable calling.
Yes, we do.
And again, that plays into this thing.
Romans 29:11.
11, yeah. And that plays into exactly what we're talking about. We are irrevocably called, yet we have to find balance with our personal lives and this very public life that we have. Like we believe in the power of relationship. So if we're building relationships with our students, that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. And we deeply desire to know them and to take care of their hearts and to take care of the hearts of each other. Gosh, it's a lot of work.
It is. And so while I felt like I've been missing my calling, coming back to this which I've done for a number of years now. I've been a teacher. Coming back in to school for the first time 3 days ago, it was almost like, in some ways, I was a new teacher. You know that feeling of when you start teaching again and your throat hurts? Like, you're not sick, but your muscles are not used to working so hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know when, like, you come home from that first day of school and you're just like, I don't want to cook dinner. Like, you people at the house are the people I love most in life, but I don't want to talk to you and don't talk to me. Right? Like, all you want to do is either collapse in the bed or you're going to bed at like 7 p.m. at night.
Yeah. Well, this is my 31st year. I did that exactly on Wednesday. But I didn't have people at home to say, I love you, good night. But that's what I would have done. I went to bed like at 8 that night. It was exhausting.
Yeah. So you are not alone in feeling that way, that you were just like, I am beat. And yet I'm so thrilled to be back in the classroom. I have a lot of catch up to play. I don't know at least half to 75% of the students' names, whereas when you're here year after year after year, you know all of the kids. Well, not all the kids, but you know a lot of the kids, you know? So I'm like a lot of first year teachers where I'm having to learn all of the students' names. And that in and of itself is so difficult, right?
Yeah. I think we take it for granted sometimes when we've been doing maybe our routine so much. Maybe that's actually part of this good news, is that it's refreshing to have broken out of routine and you can re-engage it with fresh eyes and a newness. I wonder, how's that for you?
Yeah, that too. And that whole freshness and the newness. In full disclosure, I am teaching a new class this year.
Ooh, this will be great future episodes.
I don't know, or it'll be a total like disaster.
Mama T, teaching new classes, future episodes.
Yes, so if you've been watching our channel at all, you'll know that, goodness, U.S. history is just near and dear to my heart. And this year, the way that everything has fallen into place, U.S. history will be taught by a different teacher at our school, and instead I'll be teaching world history.
So excited for you.
Yeah, so, you know, I have my undergrad and my grad degree in history, so, like, I know enough to pass a test. You know, like, I taught a little bit of it when I lived overseas in Korea. This is my first year teaching it 100% all the time, and to underclassmen.
Who are very different from upperclassmen, doi, but yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's same and different.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of having to learn how to reach the hearts and the minds of students who operate perhaps differently than a junior or a senior. And in a different but a equally beautiful way. And that's a fear that I have of mine. Don't we all, as teachers entering in it? I don't care if you've been here 30 years or this is your first year. You've got fears, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's good. And what a healthy way to be self-aware, to acknowledge that and then to articulate that and then invite someone else into that. And so maybe that's a takeaway for some of you, is invite people into that conversation. I have a fear about X, and collaborate on that, work on that, set goals about that, revisit those things, because I love what you're essentially implying here, is that you're a lifelong learner, which is something that we talk about all the time, but you've been invited into some sort of learning that is very, very different for you than in the past.
For sure. And I'm sure there are many of you out there whose principal has come to you and said, guess what? Schedule change this year, and you're like, what? But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to continue to be a lifelong learner, not only in my own content area, but also in learning how to reach the hearts and the minds of other people who may not process or whatever in the way that I've done it in the past. So that's a fear of mine that I'm entering into this new school year with, that I'm attempting to overcome and work through.
So do I have a fear?
So do you have a fear?
I think it's natural that even after 30 years, I still come into the classroom with fears. Perhaps for me, mine is I'm in a different classroom this year, and I'm still feeling my way through how to organize what I do every day. So I feel very unsettled until I...
Right, because the classroom that you always taught in, for how many years have you taught in that classroom?
I don't know, maybe 20-ish.
Since dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Probably 20-ish years. Now, I've taught in that span of time. I have taught in other classrooms on this campus. So just the particular classroom I'm in, I haven't been in. I taught in that classroom in 2005. I'm in the art room, and but you get used to your procedures and your routines of where things are, and now I'm having to start out fresh. And so what's my fear related to that? I mean, I don't know. Perhaps my fear is that I won't be prepared, or
oh my gosh,
or I won't be effective at what I'm trying to do, which is really a lie. And you helped me she's great. You helped me process that a little bit yesterday. It's like, no, the kids get who I am and how I teach, and the way the tables and the chairs are set are really not the end all, the be all. It's about that they know that you care, and they know that you're going to construct the learning with them. And so if that's our foundation, then I'm okay. So that's a little bit of my fear. Other than that, it's always the margin in life thing. There's I should quote the person who came up with margin in life. I'm going to make sure she puts the person's name down at the bottom. So look at the credits right below. Not the credits, look at the subtitle below. But margin in life is this idea, this theory that if we have things that give us power, that fill us, like our kids give us, they give us so much power when we're supported by administrators, when we have collaborative relationships, right? But we have load, right? So I have an administrative load. I have a mentoring load we have 12 new teachers that I need to help mentor this year. So my margin gets thinner and thinner, and I'm taking statistics. Yay! So I think my fear is that I will miss the person right in front of me. I think that's always my biggest fear, is that I will get so busy that I won't remember to be present, and I'll forget that the person right in front of me is the most important one. So I want to make sure that I have margin, that my power outweighs my load.
Good way to fill that, to tip the scales a little bit higher, is self-care.
Yeah. So what does self-care look like for you, or what does that look like in our school maybe as well, in our school culture? Yeah,
well, for me personally, I mean, I made sure to take a couple of quick trips before school started.
Me too.
And I'm even wearing like friendship bracelets that remind me of them. This one's from our senior attitude and leadership training that we did with our students. Maybe we'll do an upcoming episode on that. This one's from the beach, Long Beach. I miss the waves. But at that, I've got a trip planned for this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to that. But on school campus?
Well, a big one is boundaries. So an important one, like Friday nights are very important to you and your family, and you're like, hey, it's Friday night, it's this time of the day, it's time to leave.
Yep.
A big one would be for me setting boundaries. Like it's time to go home. I'm wondering, does your campus culture, is it out of a trust model or a control model with your leadership? Does your administrator trust you that you're going to be prepared and you're going to get stuff done? Or is your administrator working out of control and out of demand and high stakes and all these things, and you feel like you have to stay to 6 o'clock? But you know what? You can go home. And so it's important that we're operating out of a within our schools where we're, the teacher's work is never done. And you have
Not ever done.
and you have to cut it off. You have
Yes,
to set
you do.
boundaries for yourself and stick to those boundaries. So, and even loving on our kiddos, sometimes we got to stick to some boundaries in that, because you have to fill this in order to be a conduit, in order to pour out. So,
And how cool is it when your students come to you
Yeah.
and fill you and help tip those
Yeah.
scales? Like,
Oh.
talk about what happened to you yesterday.
oh, so I was a little bit discouraged after class. Again,
Because your fear, unfounded, but
yeah,
not unfounded.
I know what you mean.
It wasn't true, but in
Right.
your head,
It felt
it was true.
Yeah. And so I happened to walk into here just to check in with Cassie, and but before I left the classroom, I was kind of cleaning up, and one of my students walked back in there and he said, "Mrs. Chandler, I just want you to know I'm taking your class because I really love your teaching approach, and how you think about grading and how you think about us as learners and as young adults." Kind of went on. He was able to articulate my paradigm for teaching. He said, "I just want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for who you are and why you do things that way." And I thanked him profusely. Right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Your power goes up, and
Little things like that make the biggest difference.
And so those are the kinds of relationships we want to be building and cultivating in our kids and our co-teachers and our collaborators. So maybe that's even something to talk about right now.
Fly.
Thank you. Maybe that's something to even talk about right now. How can we do that as teachers? How can we build autonomy and self-directed learning and lifelong learning in our teachers around us?
Well, something new that we've done this year is that at our school, and perhaps we're behind the curve and perhaps we're not, but we've started what the broader term would be a department chair or department head. Here we call them instructional team leaders. But we've started that sort of departmental structure,
But more out of a model of
autonomy and of giving us as teachers the ability to say, hey, what do we as a team, so like my team is from 6th to 12th grade within the social studies department, we as a team get to sit down and say, what's the mission of our department? What's the vision of our department? Do we want to be called social studies or do we want to be called social sciences, and why? What's our budget? What do you really want to have that you have?
growth mindset stuff, right?
Yeah, and so we get to make these decisions. It's empowering us.
And it's motivating, isn't it?
It's incredibly motivating, and it gives us the opportunity to get to know each other more. Multiple minds are always going to be more powerful than one, and you're always talking about not working in a silo.
Right. So maybe key takeaway number 2 today is, because remember I said invite people into your fears, but to invite people into your collaborative workspace. What is it like to deprivatize practice and not be a silo, and to work with a cohort of people? And I know that at some schools that's very natural and part of the organic order there, and in some schools that is really difficult.
And it gives you the opportunity to build relationships, which is a key thing that we're really, I want to say harping, but harping has a negative connotation. We're really trying to hone in on this year. You had mentioned administration. Here's another thing for, what's it like to be a teacher your first week of school? Well, anybody out there have a new principal? Yeah, we have a new principal, and we're super excited to see what changes may come about. But isn't that sort of living in the unknown as well, and can be a little scary
And messy.
and messy? It could be so messy.
Relationships are messy, families are messy, communities are messy, and that includes learning communities. It's going to be messy, and we're okay with that.
Got to be okay with the messy. If you are expecting things to go perfect all the time, or even 50% of the time, as a teacher in the educational field, you got another thing coming.
Yeah. So what, maybe even stop and think about, like, how can you take some of these things and even apply it right now? Some of these things that we've been saying, what is one way in which you can cement that today? One way in which you can what can you walk away with, an actionable item where you're either seeking out an administrator or a collaborator or maybe even that student that's come to mind in us talking.
Or us.
Oh my goodness. You know, y'all could totally reach out to us. We'd be so delighted. Oh my goodness.
Would you like to commiserate with us? Or would you like to just share your joys about the first couple of days of school?
Yeah.
Listen, I think the whole point of this episode is just to get back in touch with you and to just be fully transparent and say,
we're right there with you.
We don't have it together.
Oh,
okay?
Isn't that the truth? Right.
We're not going to model that we have it all figured out. Because we don't. And if you attempt to do that, your kids are going to just see right through you. Be like, yeah, you know. I think it's better to just be truthful and to just say, hey, like, we're here because we love what we do. We are going to love on you, meaning our students and our colleagues.
Yep.
But it's a tough job. It is a calling that is I mean, are we here for the money? No. But it's a calling that, like, if it's in your blood, like, you just can't get it out.
Wouldn't change it one iota.
Nope.
No.
So, so we just want to be here to tell you we're here. We've survived. We're halfway through day 3.
Yep.
It's going to be the weekend. I kind of love that our structure was that we started in the middle of the week.
Yep.
Because I'm like, get up at 5:30. What? I'm a little tired, but I'm back. And I was even talking about this with my girls on the way into school today. We talked about, like, so how's day 3 feel? And just said, you know what? It's hard. I'm tired, but I'm so happy to be back into structure. Yeah. To even something as normal as the weekend. Yeah. Because I've been off for a year, and it's like the kind weekend, Monday.
These rhythms, these flows that bring us joy, that help us that give us this platform to do what we love to do. Yeah. Right. It's good to be back in the flow of things. Yeah. So I imagine we're going to return to some themes about self-care and mindfulness. I imagine that we're going to come back to those throughout upcoming episodes. But we're also going to just search for new things that we're excited about and what we've succeeded and failed in, you know, our opportunities for growth. Yep. We're going to embrace those and share them with you. So yeah, really excited about this brand new year, and who knows what's in store.
Yeah, and the last time that we did this, our goal, which we pretty much 95% of the time adhered to, was we were going to record once a week for everyone. This time we're going to do once every other week. That's our goal.
I think we can do it.
So yeah, so expect a video from us once every other week. Sweet. Fingers crossed, prayers.
Yeah. We love you guys. And even though we don't know you, we love you. And we are aware that the little things that we've been able to do and say in these episodes do have an impact.
We've heard from some of you.
Yeah, we have heard. So it's a delight and a joy to just gift these little bits and pieces of ourselves in our life and our experiences. So yeah, take away little snippets, and can't wait to show you more.
Thanks for riding the journey with us. Be inspired.
Right? Lifelong learning.
Yep, lifelong learning. See you next time. Bye.